chosen to represent your country is one of the proudest moments in your running life. On Sunday, I pulled on the England vest to race in the international event at Swansea Half Marathon against the Welsh Masters. It would prove to be an emotional roller coaster of a day. We got to the race nice and early, where I went and found the England Masters tent to pick up my race number that goes on my back, my age category number, and then meet up with some of the other runners who were also representing the country. The England v Wales Masters competitions are growing in popularity with every race. It was nice to meet up with Mr. Jog On, Harry Morgan, whose dad Steve was running for England Masters. It was then time for us to make our way over to the start for what would be my 6th appearance wearing an England Masters vest. So those of you who don't know, I'm actually Welsh, and so this was a goosebump moment. Mixed emotions stood on the line, but I'll go into more detail about that soon.
We run, off we go! Swansea University Half Marathon 2025 underway. Diaw pawb, poblwch, mwynhewch. Swansea University Half Marathon 2025 underway. Fantastic sight. And I got our first pacer down at the 1 hour 13. Loaders, they have a big...
So as you can see, a race with a fantastic city centre atmosphere. So there was crowd support all the way around this race. And as the young people say these days, good vibes.
So my target was to run around 7:30 pace, at least for the first 5 miles, which is around about a 1:38 half marathon. And then if I had anything in my legs, I was hoping to pick it up in the second half. And if not, then I was hoping to hold the 7:30s for a good solid performance. So I set off, and I think I was straight into pace, and I felt okay. I was just taking in the atmosphere and everything around me and just trying to find my stride and find my space within the crowd of runners. So although it was really busy, you were never impeded and there was always room to find space to run. So yeah, it was really quite a nice start.
Yeah, I can attest to that. You run out along this road for about 2 miles, you do a U-turn and then do a loop to the city centre. So in a little while, we'll start to see some of the leaders coming back in the opposite direction. And yes, there's one of the leading wheelchair athletes just going past. So yeah, out of Swansea we're heading, and you can see some of the front runners coming back on the other side. 2 banners above us, because there was also a 5-mile race taking place at the same event.
First 2 miles ticked off nicely with a 7:31 and a 7:28, so right where I wanted it to be. There was no strain and I was feeling just about perfect at this point.
So heading back towards Swansea now, but instead of heading right back to the start line, we'll then do a loop here, little bit of a drag up towards the university, and then a loop through some of the university campus buildings.
Plenty of enthusiasm there. So on this part of the course it was a little bit twisty and a few lumps and bumps, and surprisingly my legs didn't feel quite as springy as I thought they might do.
Yeah, this section is the only undulating bit of the course between about miles 3 and 5, and that's where you want it in a half marathon, if it's going to be anywhere.
Yes, I wasn't worried about it at this point. I thought, it doesn't matter if I lose a little bit of pace on a few undulations, because in a moment we're going to go out on a long, straight, flat part of course.
Weather, although it looks really pleasant, and it's actually perfect racing conditions for a half marathon in June. The potential for a very hot day in Wales is obviously very high, so yeah, we got away lightly there with the weather conditions.
Yes, apparently last year it was actually very hot, so I'm pretty pleased that it wasn't this year.
Now coming into the city centre, and for a neutral like me who's running along filming Dawn, there is plenty to look at, plenty of interest. I really enjoyed this part of the route as somebody who needs lots of distractions around him when he's running a long way. And for me these days, a half marathon is a long way. Nice old Baptist chapel there, I think, and then some department stores, and in a minute we'll see the Castle Bailey, some lovely remains. There they are just in front of us, and we sweep round there before taking a right and down back onto the main road where we started.
I went through mile 3 in 7:30, so still bang on pace, and then the 4th mile, which included those undulations, was 7:36. So although I wasn't terribly concerned with losing a bit of pace here, I was actually not feeling quite as sprightly as I expected to. Now at this point I started to feel what could I do to minimise not feeling great. So I knew I had 2 gels in my pocket, and I decided if I took 1 gel at 5 miles, that would see me through to about 8-9 miles maybe, and I'd be able to get back on pace. And then if I took the last gel, or my second gel, about 9 miles, 10 miles, that would see me through to the finish. So what I wanted to do here was to conserve energy. So as I said at the beginning, if I couldn't go any faster and pick it up in the second half, I was hoping to hold 7:30 pace. Now I'd slipped off that, and I didn't want to slip any further, and in fact I was hoping to pick it back up to 7:30s on the flat section of this course.
Just past the headquarters there of Swansea Harriers, one of the big running clubs in Wales. Many famous runners, including notably the Welsh runner Matt Rees.
Yes, it was nice to say hello to Matt at the beginning. He was running for the Welsh team, and I understand you had a good run, so well done, Matt.
So once you pass the 5 mile point, essentially the course is 4 miles out to a lovely place called the Mumbles, and then 4 miles back to the city called Swansea. Time to dig in and tick off the miles.
Indeed, right here, right now, and I was not feeling it. My legs were starting to feel like treacle. I have no idea why I was feeling this way, although I have to say the day before I did have a rather very tiring feeling about me. I went to sleep in the afternoon and just felt exhausted. So yes, although the pace is slipping, I was hoping that once we got to the end of the 4 miles going out, I could still pick it up and get back on pace. So I kept ploughing on and kept digging in and kept trying to be positive.
Again, from a neutral's point of view, this is a really picturesque bit of the course going through Mumbles. I think it must have been some sort of Victorian or Edwardian resort for the people of Swansea. Lovely gardens in between the road and the seafront there. So yeah, if you do want to do Swansea Half Marathon, I'd recommend it as a really nice picturesque course to do.
Mile 9 was 7:40, so I'm just about hanging on, and we turn around about the 9 mile point or just after to head back towards Swansea. And I was hoping at this point again that I could pick it up, but for some reason I just felt like my legs were like lead, and it just felt so hard to try to pick them up. But try I did, and I remember sort of picking my legs up and thinking, come on Dawn, push on now, this is it, and trying to count down the miles, thinking not long to go, 4 miles isn't far, you can push on for 4 miles. So I'm digging in as best I can.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much Dawn is enjoying these lovely views of Swansea Bay, but I certainly am. So I pointed out to her at this point that she was about on the cusp of 1 hour 40. If we could squeeze out a few more seconds per mile, she might dip under. If we continued to fade out, then she was just going to be over.
Thinking it might give me a little bit of a boost, I took my second gel just after the 9 mile point, and I was actually enjoying the views even though I was struggling with the run. I loved this part of the course. In fact, I have to say I think it was my favourite part from here all the way to the finish. At the beginning I mentioned that I'm Welsh and that I had a goosebump moment. Well, as I was struggling here, going along, looking out to sea, I thought about the dichotomy of being born and brought up in Wales. All my life, all my childhood, my memories are of Wales. So it was a really mixed emotion moment as I was running along, looking out to sea. I'd had a previous mixed emotion running against the Welsh, where in the Mid-Cheshire 5K last year, when I received my bronze award standing under the Welsh flag. And then again today I felt that same mixed emotion as I was running in Wales against the Welsh. Mile 10 I tried to maintain the pace and I hit 7:42, but by mile 11, 7:52, I really was struggling to keep my legs moving at any decent pace.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, I had a few people recognise that on course and say hello, thank you to everybody who did. On this occasion, this chap was the first of the 140 pacers to come past us, so lovely to meet you, but maybe not a welcome sight for Dawn at this particular point in the race.
I tried to keep with the 140 pacer, but I just knew I had nothing in my legs. Last year I ran 4 half marathons under 140, so I was pretty gutted that I couldn't stick at the pace with this pacer.
Excellent atmosphere all the way around, as you can see, just the right sort of atmosphere as far as I'm concerned, not massively overwhelming like London or other places, but just right.
Well done!
Thank you very much, and thank you to everybody for the support out there on the course. I had lots of calls and it was really encouraging. I was expecting it to be totally flat all the way back to Swansea, but surprisingly there was a few rises on this section of the course which I wasn't expecting, and although they weren't huge, when you're struggling they feel like mountains. So at this point I did have a few sort of low moments. I started to mentally struggle, thinking I'm not going to get under 140. Shall I just jog in? Don't be silly, Dawn. You're not going to jog in. You're going to give it everything you got and you're going to fight right to the end. And that's exactly what I did. I kept trying from that moment right to the end. Mile 12 was another 7:52, so I'd revised my goal now to make sure no miles went over 8-minute miling, and I think I was going to manage that one. I let the crowd lift me along this part of the course and decided I was going to enjoy looking out to sea, pushing hard and making my way to the finish. I was really actually enjoying the sights and enjoying the crowd, even though my body wasn't enjoying the run. Before the race I'd had various goals, but over 140 was not one of them, so I hadn't prepared my mind for that, so along the course I was having to revise all the time. And it's not easy when you're struggling to revise your time goal and what you want to achieve, but you have to do it. How many of you have gone into a race expecting something, had a bad one and had to revise it along the way? An amusing moment as we passed a guy on a microphone who shouted, "Look, she's got her own cameraman." Oh, and who said men can't multitask?
Yeah, pretty pleased with the footage as it happened, but you'll see in a minute I had to work really hard to get the footage in the last 0.2 of a mile of this race.
I went through mile 13 in 7:48, but my mind wasn't on what mile I was on at that point. I could see the finish, I could smell the finish, and I just went into tunnel vision, and I just headed for that finish line, willing it to come closer and closer so I could cross and stop, because my body just wanted to stop.
Go on, Dawn. Well done.
If only I could have run the whole race at that pace. Well, maybe 20 years ago. Not the time I came for, 1:40:53, but I'm very proud of the way I dug in. Not sure why, but at this point I became very emotional. Maybe it was the effort I'd put in during the race. Maybe it was those mixed emotions I'd felt running along the coast path. Who knows? But at this moment I did feel quite overwhelmed by the whole thing. Then on to collect a few goodies, speak to a few other racers and enjoy the post-race atmosphere. So today, as I mentioned earlier, I've had mixed emotions over running for England Masters against the Welsh. It's a long story that I won't go into in this video, but today I finished my racing with an England vest on. I am forever grateful for the wonderful opportunity I've had, and the whole setup is absolutely brilliant. But now I enter a new phase where I'll try to qualify to represent my home nation of Wales and wear the vest that represents my heritage. Thank you to the England team managers as I sign out of this part of my running journey.
And on that bombshell, as Alan Partridge used to say, We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like it, and if you'd like to see how Dawn gets on trying to qualify for Wales and all our other races, then please subscribe to the channel. So until next time, keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.